My dad, the racist. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I'm just reporting my experiences to funny? Is it funny? No, it's actually not funny. It's quadruple traumatic. It's quadruple unfortunate, given many, many, many different implications. But I thought, you know what? There's all kinds of stuff that exists in the domain of stuff that I witnessed, and I can relay that accurately. Pretty sure. Gonna give it my college best. I mean, is this person or is this person not a racist? Is an experiment that never really gets run because no two people will agree on the definition of the word, and you get sort of points for sharing that information with someone else. So there's a lopsided incentive. I mean, I say all that beforehand because it doesn't matter by any definition, by a definition that would probably include, I don't know, if you were to get an honest take, probably 95% of this country that you have accurately guessed would argue that, yes, indeed, based upon my own definition. So it's that level of off the hook. Now, the reason I know that is because I was his special friend that he would share all that with. When I was around all three of my other family members, I don't know. I have very few memories, really. Come to think of it, very few memories, even at that level. Now, certainly out in public, if I see him order McDonald's, which, there's a story there. There is a story there. I'm going to skip that story. But as a reasonable example, dealing with someone in public at McDonald's, trying to get through the day, never, ever, 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 or with uh, supposed friends, which were an interesting bunch, never. Oh, you know what? I can think of an exception, but I just don't have the memory of the dialogue stored. I would go either way with some of his friends. You hang out with this guy, you're going to use a different script, which is a dumb guy thing to do. In any case, based on a very reasonable definition relating what I witnessed, most specifically when I was alone with him, which is very, very revealing. I would get a snarky. Where do I even begin? I mean, first of all, that word that I won't say was used all the time. There was a reason to draw the conversation back to that topic and use that word somehow or other quite frequently. Once a week, certainly. Once a day, maybe not. He was busy. And in addition to this, the last time I checked with him, by having what would be considered a conversation with him, which is not. Last I checked, he's unrepentant but to 11, quadrupling down. I still believe all of this. He wants to communicate that to me. And this is, we're talking about now. Do you recommend that I perform the experiment again? I don't. I am not doing that. The results have been consistent all the way up until, the last time. The last time I was tested on these beliefs, because one pattern is to wait until we're alone and use the word and then give me a side eye or remark about something in the news that has, for him, a racial component. And there's maybe a 3-second knowing pause afterwards as he looks directly at me. I'll grant 2, maybe. The important thing is that the frequent use of that word is an objective fact that I can do my level best to remember. What else? So, I guess take my word for it. There will be no arguing the other case from anyone. There will be no there will be no devil's advocate for certain people. Um, anyway, that's all been fun. And obviously, it has affected me because, at one point I was 4 and that was going on. And it was low grade and consistent and just became, I was supposed to agree with him, I guess. I mean, I don't know what I was supposed to do. Just lay it on me. I would use that word and I would, my God, it was my favorite word from probably age, I don't know, maybe 8 until I was, I don't know. It would depend. But, I'm not swearing off the word and call for its banishment because it's in a lot of books, but I'm not a fan. Like I used to, that was kind of a bridge between the two of us, come to think of it. Something we could very easily bond over with no friction. So that's the kind of person I am talking about. Last I checked, he's quite old, and as is the case with any of us, he could drop dead right now, period. But last I heard, nothing. Silent channel. I would imagine that that will have some kind of emotional impact on fully contemplated, not because, definitely not because I'll miss that guy. But I don't know. I mean, how cheap is it for you to encode eschew death into the genome and then use that event as a reminder? Not me, not me, which is good. Let's live. I'm all for it, period. Anyway, that is my attempt to stick to a topic, and that is the topic. And I guess I'll probably say for now there are extensive instances of something that would, in a polite crowd, instantly stop all conversation for sure. If you could have transported me and him from the garage back in the day, working on the thing, if you could have transported the both of us to the middle of a dinner party in 20 anything, it would be registered by everybody there, given the volume level, etc. Just made sure. But again, that wasn't the circumstances. The circumstances was me and him alone, period. More or less. And there were other family members where there was a big green light. I mean, it's not the words that I object to. It is very much the sentiment that I object. Period. Um, so not throwing anybody on the bus, but I mean it is a very big bus. A number of people who are probably thinking it's time to retire all of that forever. Hopefully, growing number. I would like to talk about how that affected me because let me tell you, there was nobody in my life to guide me back in the other direction. There was nobody who said, "Hey, you know what? We don't talk like that." There were people like that, but they were never a witness to anything. That was father son time strictly. By the time I was 12, it would be something that me and the neighborhood kid, who's my bestie at the time, who's a whole series, forgive me, I'm going to sidestep. Uh, oh yeah, this individual was a migrant to our lovely Florida community from Philadelphia. He was a little bit different. His mom was a little bit different, and he was a good kid. He talked different, but it's important that shit wouldn't have flown in Philadelphia. Me and him just, that became like our little secret language. We had a little racist secret language. We would make jokes and cackle, and I wonder where that came from. My guess is that I got positive feedback when I could make it funny. That's my guess. Bring the temperature down. Yes, I am Matt also, and here's a joke. Why would someone do that? It's not important, just setting the scene. The contagious element of it. Father behavior and preferences and likes and dislikes and cultural quirks and whatever else is of keen interest to the child. no matter who you are, father or son. Pretty sure. Teach me how to make a wheel and start a fire, Daddy. Oh, you are so wise. So it started then, and it started there, and it just got wackier. Um, I think it comes down to a convenient group of people to feel superior to, because that was an MO that I observed frequently with numerous different people. Still do. It's popular. So I guess I'm reformed, and that's kind of the problem. That's one of the many problems. This person may come up in future conversations with myself, and I think it's appropriate and noteworthy to set the scene with regard to this very popular topic. Nobody, forget about what they think, nobody is lukewarm on racism. That fact in itself is very interesting to me. Maybe that's how things get split up. Not that there is a continuum on the not that there's a continuum on the idea that you should be kind to strangers, for example. That's not my point. There is a continuum with regard to attitudes on the topic, and it's pretty flat, I think. Whether you're very pro, odd, or very anti, you probably are not lukewarm about the topic. Some racism is just fine. Not many people say that, in other words. Yeah, and anecdotes might appear from time to time in stories about this very significant person in my life. I ask you to imagine, well, here's another thing that's flat: the impact that a father has on a child, even if absent. So the continuum is from absent to ideal, which obviously does not exist, but the direction is pretty much agreed upon. Not many people are lukewarm about their feelings about having been a parent. I'm guessing. I get that impression. Uh, no personal experience. But it is hard to imagine, a parent saying to a child, oh, you just blank off, or something abrupt and not very nice. And then you imagine explaining that to a group of judges. Randy, I fear that I may spend too much time editing this and never release anything. Bad news, my objective is to release. Interesting that I find so many reasons not to. That's why I keep to the facts, ma'am, sir. Yeah, because I don't want to give myself an unreasonable amount of editing to do. I'll cut it short pretty soon here. As soon as my brain decides I want to stop talking about this. Set the scene, that's all.